Good morning, my dearest friends, and welcome to this Sunday's reflection. Today is the 5th Sunday of Easter, and our liturgy of the word today is taken from 3 biblical passages. The first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 9, from verse 26 to 31, and the second reading from the first letter of St. John, chapter 3, from verse 18 through to 24. And the gospel reading, which is our major focus today, comes from the gospel of St. John, chapter 15, from verse 1 through to 8. The theme for our reflection today is, are you a fish on dry land? My dear brothers and sisters, in the gospel of today, St. John tells us that our relationship with Jesus is similar to a tree and its branches. A branch cannot survive if it is detached from the parent tree. And Jesus tells us today in this same gospel, cut off from me, you can do nothing. But Jesus invites you and I, a gentle invitation. He tells us, remain in me, abide in me, draw life from the vine, that is Jesus himself. However, failure to remain in Christ or abide in him, or to find life in the vine, which is Jesus, is a risk that will lead to separation and eventually destruction, death. And that is what happens to a fish on dry land. It cannot survive for long because that is not its habitation. That is not where it's supposed to draw life from. It is water that gives the fish life, where it survives. That is the habitation. And Jesus tells us today to remain in him. On the other hand, it is also possible for the branch to be attached to the parent tree and yet not fruitful. But Jesus tells us today that he who abides in me, such a person bears fruit. Connection to Jesus necessarily produces fruit. We cannot be connected to Jesus and not bear fruit. And one of these fruits is love. And St. John tells us in the second reading of today, that love is not about word or speech. It must be carried out in deed. And we see example of that in the relationship between Barnabas and St. Paul in the first reading. And so, my brothers and sisters, Christianity is not just about theology or doctrine, what we know. It is not just about how we live, ethics, or being nice, being a good guy or a nice guy. Christianity goes beyond that. Interior life, interior connection to Jesus is the bridge between knowledge, that is theology, and ethics, that is the way we live. And when this link is not there, these other 2 important pillars fall away. And so, my brothers and sisters, as we celebrate this Sunday, it's a time to reflect whether we truly have interior connection to Jesus. Otherwise, we make a distinction as C.S. Lewis made in his book Mere Christianity, between nice people or the new man. Only those who are connected to Jesus can become new men and new women, transform people. How do we remain connected to Jesus? The first way is prayer. Daily personal prayer keeps us connected to Jesus, keeps the relationship alive. And secondly, and above all, the life of the sacrament. It's not enough to be born in baptism and mature in confirmation, but we need to be nourished and strengthened in the Eucharist. And so Eucharistic participation is an important way to build our relationship, to remain connected to Jesus. Jesus tells us in the gospel, the same gospel, chapter 6, that he who eats my flesh and drinks my blood has life in him. As we celebrate this holy day, we ask the Lord to grant us the grace to put in the necessary effort to remain connected to Jesus, because cut off from him we become nothing. We cannot survive like a fish outside of water. God bless you.